Okay, so welcome to those of you who are joining in for the first time, and welcome back to those of you who have been in my class. I see lots of familiar faces in this class. My name is Allie. I am a doctor of physical therapy as well as a nationally certified Pilates instructor. I've been practicing here in Boston for the last 5 years. I own my own practice here in Boston, and I have been teaching with the Community Online Academy since it started back in March. Today we have our traditional back pain program. It's a 30-minute class that is mostly movement-based. We'll do some stretching, some strengthening. We will look a little bit today at the form of some common exercises that you might see in exercise classes and how to break that form down to protect your back. So with that being said, I offer some challenges, some modifications. I'm going to cue you a lot today to really tune into how your body is feeling so you can start to notice side-to-side differences in your body, and that way you can focus your attention where your body needs it the most. If something doesn't feel right, take a rest. You can always step back and come back into the exercise when you feel more comfortable. So let's get started. We'll get moving. You can lie down onto your back on the mat and just find a comfortable position to rest down. You can allow your head to rest comfortably on the mat. You can choose to have your legs extended or your knees bent, whatever you are most comfortable with. And just settle down, checking in at this moment with how your body feels. Adding a little tuck to your chin, lengthening through the top of your head. Start to scan your body from the very top of your head all the way down to your toes. And I just want you to notice how your body feels, maybe any spots of tension or tightness, any differences from side to side. And as you get in touch with how your body is feeling on the mat, see if you can bring your hands to your rib cage and start to feel your ribs move with your inhale and exhalation. So taking that inhale in through your nose, exhale, breathe out through your mouth. Inhale, see if you can feel both sides of your ribs opening, and exhale, see if you feel both sides of your ribs close. Inhaling in through your nose and exhaling out through your mouth. We'll try just one more breath like that. Take your inhale in through your nose and exhale out through your mouth. From this setup, we're going to go right into a couple of pelvic tilts. So you're thinking about the space under your low back, closing and then opening, closing and opening. Now, if this is the first moving you've done in a little while today, your back might be a little bit stiff, and that's okay. Just very gently allow your spine to move within its comfortable range of motion. And see if you can do this movement without pushing into your feet or tightening your butt muscles. It might be a little bit smaller without doing those things, but that's okay. That means the movement is truly coming from your spine. Good. We'll do 3 more just like this, and 2 more. Last time here, good. And now walk your feet together and knees together. We're going to bring a little bit of rotation into our low back. So you can open up your arms out to the side, let your shoulders rest down, and you want to keep your shoulders down as you rock your legs from side to side. So it's okay for your hips to lift, but I want you to keep your shoulders down. At the same time, you're only lowering your legs as far as you can go without pain, pinching, or soreness. So stop right before that point. It should just feel like some gentle movement. Try and keep your knees together. Keeping your knees together is going to ensure that this movement happens in your low back and not into your hips. We're going to do your hips in just a moment. Notice any differences that you feel side to side in this moment. Maybe you can go a lot farther to one side and just notice that. Good. Try 3 more. And 2 more times. Good. Last time here. And then come back to the center. This time you're going to separate your feet. So you're going to take your feet about as wide as your mat, if you have a mat or a towel, And then we're going to do the same thing. So gently rocking side to side. Now with our feet wide like this is rotation in our hips, not in our back. So you can notice how this feels. For many people, this might be a lot looser. For some people, it might be a lot tighter. So that gives you a little bit of information. This is hip rotation compared to what we just did before, which was back rotation. And again, I want you to keep this comfortable within your body's pain-free range of motion. Good. 4 more times just like this. That's it. We'll try 2 more here. Good. And 1 more time. Very nice. And then we'll walk our feet back into a parallel position, making sure our heels are close enough to our bottom to be able to tap. So what we're going to try now, that was a mobility exercise for our hips. We're now going to do a strengthening exercise for our hips, which is a bridge. So arms stay down by your side, open up your collarbones, keeping your neck relaxed, lift your hips up, and then drop your hips back down. So gently lifting and lowering your hips. Think about the space between your ribs and hips getting smaller, especially if you feel that pressure in your low back. And remember, this should be strengthening for your glutes, for your butt muscles. So if you're not sure, bring your hands to your butt muscles. Check in. Make sure that both sides are working together. That's it here. Our butt muscles provide important support for our spine when we're bending over, lifting, squatting, all of those kinds of movements. 2 more here. Good. 1 more time just like this. And come right back down. Okay, so we're going to test this a little bit to see which one of our hips, our glutes, is stronger. And one way I like to do that is with a single leg bridge, but I think when you have back pain, that can be a little bit progressed. So what we're going to try instead is lift the left heel, but you're going to keep your left toes on the mat. Otherwise, all of our form stays the same. It's just that your right leg is going to do a little more work. So same thing, we lift and lower. So notice if this feels way harder, maybe you feel like you have pretty good control on this side. You can always check in to make sure that you feel that your glute, your butt muscle is working here. Ground down into your right foot and feel that your left hip is lifted, but you're not putting a lot of work on that side. We'll do 2 more just like this. Good. 1 more time here. Excellent. Now drop your left heel down, lift your right heel up. We're going to try the opposite side. So same thing, push down into your left foot, start to lift and lower. Now I know for me, this always feels much easier than my right side, and maybe your body is different. Just notice it. Start to get in touch with where your strength deficits might be and maybe where your mobility deficits might be. We'll try 3 more like this. Good. And 2. Last time here, drop your hips down. Good. Okay, so that was our strengthening work for the glutes. We're going to do a little bit of strengthening for our core now. So I want you to take your attention to your ribs, and especially trying to keep the back of the ribs on the mat. So it doesn't mean your whole low back has to smush into the mat, but I do want your rib cage down. From here, we're going to bring one leg to tabletop, the other leg up to meet it. Notice if your rib cage pops off the mat. Try and draw your ribs down and in, lengthening through the back of your neck. And we're going to start to press one leg out towards the center of the room at a time. To modify, you can push your legs up higher towards the ceiling, and to challenge, you can press down lower. But you want to press out only as far as you can go without letting your ribs pop. And you might find that one side is much harder than the other. If that is the case, try exhaling when you push that leg out. Exhale on that harder side. That helps you to set your rib position in a good alignment, and then your core can fire. Good. 3 more. And 2, good guys. Last time here, bend your both knees in towards your chest. You're going to gently rock your legs from side to side. And then we'll roll that right on up to a seated position. Okay, so from this setup, We're gonna keep our hands behind our thighs, knees are bent to about a 90-degree angle. Start with the spine up nice and tall, shoulders roll down and back, top of the head is long, and then we'll start to roll the spine backwards and restack coming up. So it's a very gentle roll back. This is actually our pelvic tilting motion in sitting. So you can imagine your pelvis is like a tea kettle, and you're gonna pour a little bit of water out the back and then restack, come back up. Pour a little water out the back and come back up. Good, 3 more times just like this. And 2 more. Try 1 more time just like that. Lift up tall, and now walk your hands back behind you. We're going to take this right into a piriformis stretch, which is an external rotator muscle on the side of your hip. So we'll cross our left ankle on top of our right thigh. From this position, push your chest up tall. You want to have a straight back. Now, if this is way too intense, walk your right leg away from your body. And if you need more of a stretch, pull your right leg in closer. But notice if you're doing that at the expense of rounding your spine. You'll get a better stretch, keeping your spine tall, your shoulders back. So hold this. And your stretch, it shouldn't be painful or pinching. It should just feel like a stretch. So if it is, back off a little bit until it just starts to feel like a stretch. Good. We're going to hold here for another big, deep breath in. And then we'll place the left foot down. We're going to try the same thing on the right side. So you can take your right ankle on top of your left thigh. Again, you can walk your left foot away from your body or bring it in a little bit closer. You're going to press that chest up tall to keep your long, flat back. Your gaze is long off in the distance. Shoulders are down away from your ears. Good. We'll take a nice big deep breath in here. Holding for just another moment. And then carefully release. So again, you can notice maybe one side was tighter than the other. It's just data. That was a hip mobility exercise. We're going to flip on over now into our all fours setup. So hands are going to go underneath our shoulders. Knees are underneath our hips. This is where if you know kneeling is uncomfortable, grab a little pillow for underneath your knees. Shoulders are going to drop down away from the ears. Head is long. And we'll allow the head to hang down, ribs lift up to the ceiling, rounding the spine, and then allow your rib cage to drop down, head lifts, chest lowers. Ribs lift up, head hangs down, and drop the chest down, chest, head lifts. Good. So work within what's comfortable for your body's range of motion here. It might be big, it might be small. Work within what's comfortable, and I hope that as you move a little bit here, you find that your range of motion starts to slowly increase. Good. We'll try 2 more times just like this. And 1 more time here, settling right in the middle. Now we're going to go into a mobility exercise for our upper back. So your right hand will reach up to the ceiling. You're going to thread your right hand underneath your left arm, letting your head, neck, and shoulders come down so that your left elbow is bent. We then return back to that start position, reaching the right arm up to the ceiling again, and then thread your right hand underneath your left arm, letting your head, neck, and shoulders lower down. Try again. Reach that right arm up, twist your chest up to the ceiling, and then turn your chest to face the floor and then face to the left. If you have shoulder sensitivity, you don't have to do a big reach with your arms. You can just rotate your chest here to what's comfortable for your body. We'll try 2 more times just like this. Excellent. And 1 more time here. And we're going to hold it at the bottom. So thread that right arm underneath the left, turning to the left, taking a big inhale breath in here, opening up the ribs. And then we'll come right back to the center. We're going to do our second side. So left hand reaches up to the ceiling. Now thread your left hand underneath our right arm. You're going to bend your right elbow, letting your head and shoulders rest down. Open, turn, rotate, reach the left hand up, and then thread the left hand under, diving your elbow down. Again, you can notice how this side feels compared to the other side. With our upper back, we tend to have a lot more asymmetries because we have a dominant arm. So our arms don't do the same things all day the way that, for the most part, our legs do the same kind of things. Good. 2 more times here. That's it, guys. We'll do 1 more and hold the stretch. So go ahead and rotate, hold. You can allow your shoulders to drop away from your ears. We take a big deep breath in, and then we'll come right back to the center. From here, you're going to walk your hands forward to lower yourself onto your stomach. Now, if you are uncomfortable being on your stomach, you can place a pillow under your hip. We're going to go into a little extension work. So your elbows are in by your side, your gaze is down to the floor. Start by lifting just your upper back, and you can press down in your hands to do so. You can try pressing all the way up into your low back if you're comfortable. So whatever feels good for your body, try that here. My guess is that as you start to move a little bit in this extension position, that your back will start to loosen up and you may be able to go a little bit farther. But I want this to be comfortable. It shouldn't be pinching or painful. Just work in the range that's gentle and comfortable for your body in this moment. Good. See if you can drop your shoulders down away from your ears, keeping the top of your head tall and lifted up to the ceiling. We'll do 3 more like this. And lower back down. Good, guys. Last 2. And come all the way down here 1 more time, just like that. And then lower all the way back down. Good. We're going to roll right onto our side. So for reference, I'm on my left side. If you guys want to follow along with my cues, you're going to bend your bottom left leg, reaching your right leg out straight. Now, before we do any movement, this is a strengthening exercise for the side of our hip. I want you to reach your top right leg so far away that it creates space between your right rib and your hip, and you're actually going to keep your hand in that space. As we start now to lift and lower our right leg, I want to make sure that space doesn't change. And the reason is this is our spine here. So if this space is changing, we're not working our hip anymore, we're working our back, which should really be a hip exercise. So you want to keep that space totally still as you lift and lower your top right leg. Go slow. These side hip muscles are what supports our back when we do sideways movements, when we do twisting movements, and when we carry something on one side of our body only, like a heavy bag of groceries. Good. 4 more. 3. Last 2. 1 more time. Now bend your knee. You're going to press yourself on up to sitting so that you are sitting down on your left hip with your legs splayed off to the right. Now that hip muscle is also important in side planking, which we're going to get to in a little bit, but we'll do a stretch here first. So stack your spine tall, open up your arms, take up space, and then start to dive your arms up and over. So this is just a nice, gentle, easy side bending stretch, which is your ability to move your spine sideways. You can take note if you feel tightness on one side compared to the other, but be a little bit free with this movement. Keep your spine up tall. Keep the top of your head lifted so you're sitting up as though you're up against a wall. Good. We'll try about 4 more here. That's it. Last 2. And last time here. Good. And we'll take a little rest. So we're going to get into side planks. And the reason I really like side planks when it comes to back pain is that it's quite revealing about side-to-side differences in core strength, in spine stability, but it's also a really good bang for your buck. Like if you were going to do one strengthening exercise a day, it strengthens your shoulder, it strengthens your core, and it strengthens your hip all at the same time. So I'm going to have everyone try a very modified version of the side plank first. And then if you'd like to progress it in our second one, you can do that in our second plank. So using the back edge of your mat or your towel, if you have one, you're going to lower down onto your left forearm. So my forearm should be right under my shoulder. If I'm over, it's going to be way too much work on my shoulder. I want to keep my elbow under my shoulder, and I'm actually thinking of pushing my elbow away from my body. Then I'm going to line up my knees with the back edge of the mat. Okay, once I lift my hips, I want to press my hips forward so they are also in line with the back edge of the mat. Okay, so my whole body's in one long line. We'll try that here. Now, most people in this modified side plank are too high with their hips. Drop your hips down a tiny bit so you create a straight line from your shoulder, hip to knee, and roll your top hip forward. So your hips are stacked, your bottom elbow is pushing away from your body, and your shoulders are open. You should feel the work in your shoulder and your bottom core and your bottom hip slightly here. I'm going to come take a quick peek at form. You guys can take rest if you need. You look awesome. Good. If everyone can pull their head back in space just a little bit and come down, take a little rest. Good. Now we're going to try one more. If you would like to do that same modification, you can. Otherwise, you can try with straight legs. And so what that will look like is if your legs are out straight, you're going to stagger your feet with your top leg in front. So I will model that here. Everything else from a form perspective stays the same. So go ahead and give that a try. Push the bottom elbow down. You're going to lift your hips up. You want to think of hugging your inner thighs together, stacking by rolling the top hip forward, opening the collarbones, lowering your hips slightly, pushing your elbow away from your body. It is a ton of work to do these. I'm going to come take a quick peek at form. You guys can hold it. We'll try for 10, 9, 8, 7. You look awesome, Angela. Beautiful form. 6, 3, 2, and 1. Come all the way down. Nice work, guys. So what we'll do is we're going to run through that same series on the other side, and I want you to feel how do the two sides compare to one another. So we're going to go down onto the right side of our body now, making a little pillow with our biceps. You can bend your bottom right leg and straighten your left leg out long. Now, just like on the other side, I want you to reach that left leg so far away from your body that it creates space between your left rib and your hip. And you should be able to feel that. If your bones are touching and they're crunched here, push them and separate them a little bit so that you have room for your low back to feel comfortable. From this setup, start to lift and lower. And this time we're strengthening the outside of our left hip, which actually just worked in that side plank that we did. We're going to challenge that right side in this next one. Good. Go nice and slow, create your own resistance here, making sure that there is no movement between that left rib and hip space. You've got it. 4 more. 3, 2, last time there. Go ahead and bend and press yourself on up to a seated position. Now, sitting down, I am on my right hip with my legs splayed off to the side. Once again, I'm going to stack spine up tall, open up the arms, take a nice big stretch, and try gently side bending up and over, allowing your spine to move freely. Hopefully it's a little bit looser on this one. You also get that nice benefit of the stretch to your left side body, which already worked so hard in that plank. Good. We'll try 4 more here. And 3. Last 2. Good. And 1 more time here. Very nice. Okay, so we're gonna set up in that same way, the modified side plank first. So lowering down onto your right forearm, your elbows should be right underneath your shoulder, your knees, elbows, and eventually your hips are all gonna line up with the back edge of your mat. So starting here, try and roll your shoulder onto your back, press, lifting the hips into your side plank. Roll that top hip forward, drop your hips down an inch, open the collarbones, and imagine your elbow pressing away from your body. Hold it here. I'm gonna come take a quick peek at form, see if I can give you guys any feedback. Bina, that looks great. Nice form there, Don. Excellent modification, good. Very nice, guys. Hold for 3, 2, and 1. Come all the way down, take a little rest. Good. Now we're gonna try that same plank again. You have the option to do a second of that modified plank. If you wanna try with your legs extended, this time your left foot is gonna go in front. So you'll lower down onto that right forearm with your feet staggered, your left leg is in front. You're gonna press down into that bottom elbow, lifting the hips, rolling that top hip forward, stretch your legs out long, keep your legs active. They should be tight here. Lower the hip down slightly, open the collarbones, hold. Good, you guys look great here. I love seeing those challenge positions. I think a lot of you are stronger on this side. We'll hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Come all the way down, good. We'll flip here, just come into a careful child's pose position to rinse out all that hard work. So you can let your forehead rest down onto the mat, walk your fingertips long in front of you, take a couple of deep breaths here, breathing into the back side of your rib cage. Allow your fingertips to creep forward even a little bit farther. We'll take one more big breath in here. And then you can carefully come on up to sitting. So that concludes our movement part of the class. And what I hope you guys take from that today is you have a little better picture of what's going on in your body. Where is your tightness? Where is your weakness? And maybe those side-to-side differences tell you a little bit about where and why your back pain is happening. One thing I should note is that a lot of times I see the weak side is not always the painful side. Sometimes it is, but sometimes we see that your painful side is actually the one that's stronger, and it's likely because that side is doing a lot more of the work compared to the other side that's a little bit weaker. So it's okay to work asymmetrically. When you want to improve your back pain, it's okay to do a little bit more strengthening on the side that's a little bit weaker, or maybe a little bit more stretching on that side. That'll actually help bring you to more of a symmetrical setup, which can help to give your back better support. So with that being said, I would love to answer any questions you guys have. Let me just quickly check the chat here. I think these are, okay, so there is one good question here. So the question is, my left knee was cracking when we exercised the right hip on the bridge. So that's not uncommon. And the reason most likely is that your hips were not level. So when you're lifting in that sort of prep for a single leg bridge, you want both of your hips to lift and lower at the same height. If they lift a little bit asymmetrically like this, it puts more pressure on your back and hip on the side that's drooping. And you might get a little crack, sometimes it's a click, sometimes it's even a little bit painful. So check next time to make sure that both hips are lifting and lowering at the same pace, even though only one leg is really doing the work there. Okay, so another good question here. My shoulders and traps really hurt during the side plank, the side that was towards the floor. Is that because I'm doing something wrong? No, so that's something I hear a lot of, and probably there are some form adjustments that can be made. The most common mistake I see when your upper trap bothers you in a plank, your upper trap is this neck muscle that comes down on the side of the shoulder, is because when you're in your side plank, your head is too far forward. That puts a lot of stress on the upper trap. The most helpful thing I can advise, and I didn't do it in this class, because I think most people don't have the setup for it, get yourself up against a wall and really test. So you can feel your head against the wall, your back against the wall, your hips against the wall. That way you're sure that you're really stacked and you're in good alignment. The head is a really tricky one to find what the best position is. The other alternative is to do it in front of a mirror and check and see your ear should be right in line with your shoulder. So if it's a lot farther forward, that's going to hurt the upper trap quite a bit. Okay. So someone asked here, my lower back pain is usually on the right side. So should I work harder on the right or the left? That is a question that I cannot answer, but maybe you can answer a little bit after today's class. Everyone's back is different. And so maybe you had tightness in one side more than the other, or weakness on one side than the other. If you're noticing those mobility or strength deficits, try and address them. And it's not a guarantee that that's what's going to fix your back pain, but likely it's going to improve the symmetry of your body. It's going to improve your mechanics with different movements, and that may take the stress away from your back. So it's possible that you need to work on the opposite side. That might not be the case for your back. All right. Any other questions I can answer for you guys right now? If you have a moment, yeah, so Key just mentioned you can unmute yourself if you'd like to answer as well. If you guys have a moment, I'd love if you could stick around and leave feedback for this program. Key will go over exactly how to do so if you're new to this class or the Community Online Academy. But I really appreciate you all sticking around and asking questions and participating in class today. I'd love to see you again next week. We have lots of classes to choose from, same schedule for next week. So have a great rest of your week, great rest of your evening, and I hope to see you all again. You guys.